All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. How are you doing? Oh, fantastic. I can see iPhone X is already sending me an emoji. Good to have you guys here on the call. I'm excited to be here as well. Now, before we get started, we are just going to, as usual, get to know each other, right? My name is Mary, and I'm joining you guys from um, Abuja. All right. So wherever you're joining from as well, I want you to go ahead, type it in the chat, and also tell me your name. I would like to know those two things. All right. Your name and where you are joining from. Okay, your name and where you are joining from. So go ahead and type it in the chat so that we can get to know each other a bit more better. Okay. Awesome. I can see Adebanke. Adebanke is joining from Lagos. Oyin is joining from Senegal. Fantastic. All right. So I'm still expecting more information. iPhone X joining. iPhone X says his name is Samuel Bassi, joining from Lagos. Fantastic. Okay. Let's keep it coming. Betty is joining from Lagos as well. Fantastic. So we have a lot of Lagosians here in the house. All right. So Ogbonna is joining from Aba. Good to have you here, Ogbonna. All right, let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Jolly is joining from Italy. Fantastic. Anthony from Lagos. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so we have a lot of individuals on the call already. I'm sure if we decide to start mentioning names one after the other, we won't be done here today. All right, so good to have every one of you on this call. And I believe we already know what we are here to discuss. But before we dive into that specific, I also want to know how many of us are here for HR? Okay. How many of us are here for HR analytics? Okay. Or let's do it this way. If you are here for HR analytics, okay, just go ahead and type a 1 in the chat. And if you are here for healthcare related topics, all right, go ahead and type a 2. All right. All right, so I can see a lot of ones. Henrietta one, Adebanke one. Okay, fantastic. All right, so for those of us that are here for healthcare, 2, someone is here for healthcare. Fantastic, fantastic, awesome. All right, so just give me a moment. I'm going to bring up my screen and we can get to more discussions. Okay. All right. Okay, so I hope everyone can see my screen clearly. I can see it very clearly as well on my end. But before we start diving into this, I would like to welcome us all once again on this call. And I would like to let us know exactly what we are going to be handling today. All right, so we're going to be looking at this topic, identifying why nurses leave healthcare jobs using HR data with Power BI. Now, for some of us, we might already know exactly what, a HR professional does in a workplace, right? They help us process every day-to-day activity of employees from the hiring process down to the exit process, right? Everything about an employee's life cycle is properly tracked and managed by the HR professionals. All right. So today we are going to be looking at that same process, although just a specific process in the healthcare sector. We want to understand what the challenges are in the healthcare job, especially for nurses. So we are going to look at the nurses who understand exactly why they actually leave their jobs, and then using Power BI, we'll be able to see exactly where the pain point is and translate it into solutions that can improve the work environment for these nurses in the healthcare sector. All right. So how many of us are ready to dive in? If you are ready, if you are good to go, just go ahead and type ready in the chat. I'm ready. I'm good to go. Good to go. Ready. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. All right. All right. Okay. So let's dive in. So the first thing we're going to look at, obviously, is just to understand exactly who we are with today, especially for those of us that are joining for the first time, right? So who is Tenalytics, right? You've clicked on that link, you've signed up, and you are ready to go, digest some good knowledge. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Tenalytics, right? So Tenalytics is an edtech company that focuses on providing specialized training in technology skills and delivering comprehensive data consulting services. With over 4 years of experience building talent for the technology workforce. Now, we've helped over 2,855 individuals transition from classrooms as with no tech skills at all into their very first jobs in tech across UK, US, Canada, Europe, Asia, and Africa. Now, at Tenalytics, we are committed to making the technology sector more accessible through premium experiential trainings in data analytics, business analytics, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, agile project management, Scrum Master, cybersecurity, and AI engineering. Now, you're going to, if you go ahead and enroll in the program, just like you've heard all the individuals in the testimonial say, you're going to meet a team of wealthy instructors, that's in terms of knowledge, and they are going to share that wealth of knowledge with you to help you get ready for your next big job in the tech industry. All right, now let's get started. First of all, let me officially introduce myself. My name is Mary Anene. I'm a data analyst professional and HR analytics expert. As a data professional, I'm passionate about turning complex data into actionable insights and helping diverse individuals unlock opportunities in tech. Now, with over half a decade of experience and working in multiple industries, I have combined my technical expertise with a strong commitment in empowering individuals through data literacy and career mentorship. All right, so that is it about Mary. I've put that down in a key point for those of us that are also interested in going through that. Now, let me also introduce another fantastic individual. You are still going to hear from her, towards the end of our first practical session. This is no other than Elizabeth Nana. Elizabeth Nana is a product manager and a senior agile project manager at Tenalytics with over half a decade of experience in product and project management. Elizabeth is a skilled leader and a coach for agile teams, consistently driving impactful results. She has successfully guided over 1,000 individuals with no prior agile experience in making a smooth transition into project management. Elizabeth has trained over 1,000 professionals across 4 continents. Her experience spans across multiple sectors, including the healthcare, fintech, and edtech, where she has applied her deep knowledge of agile methodology. All right, so give it up for Elizabeth. Just give us a yeah in the chat. All right. So yes, let's dive into what we have for today. I believe a lot of us are already wondering, like, okay, what are we going to do today? How are we going to arrive at this particular solution that we are looking at? How do we get to know if these nurses are, stressed out, if they are in a toxic work environment? What exactly is the challenge? All right, so let me break it down for us. So the first thing we are going to do today is we are going to look at a specific case study that is actually going to help us identify why nurses leave the healthcare job using HR data with Power BI. The next thing we are going to do is also to understand and see how we ourselves can get started and become HR analysts, or in fact, start understanding exactly how to leverage data in these kinds of scenarios, right? Now, another thing that we are going to get away with today is to also see more success stories, just like the ones that we saw earlier in the beginning of this session. And then we'll also be able to understand how we can become the next success story with data. All right. Okay, so now that we are all on the same page, let's look at exactly what we'll be gaining after our case study solution is fully ready. Okay, so what are we going to gain today? So the goal of this case study is very simple. I've put them in 3 key points here for us. The first is to understand why nurses leave and identify the key drivers of attrition. All right, now this is the most important thing, or the most important reason why we are carrying out this case study. Now, the next thing is to provide HR insights to reduce turnover and improve retention, okay? To reduce turnover and to improve retention within the organization. So we are going to use the information or the analysis that we carry out today to help us figure out how we can actually reduce turnover rate and make the work environment more conducive for these nurses, right? Now, the last thing we are going to do is to support workforce planning by showing attrition trends across tenures, department, and the reasons for this attrition, right? This is actually going to help us in generating more recommendations, or rather, more suitable recommendations in the coming future for this particular organization. All right. So now that we are now on the same page, we understand exactly what we are getting into. Let's dive in and look at our case study. Okay. All right. So what are we going to be looking at today? So today we're actually going to be helping Aztec Healthcare analyze its attrition data, or rather its exit data. All right. So Aztec Health Trust is a very large healthcare provider in its region and has recently observed a troubling trend where nurses are, having a high turnover rate. And this has bothered this organization so much. They want to be able to maintain their staffs, all right, especially in a healthcare sector where health is wealth, right? They want to be able to maintain their staffs, right? And they've come to us to actually help them analyze their data and understand what is going on, right? They want to know what is the trends that we are having. How can we break this cycle of attrition in our workplace? Can you take our data set and analyze it so that we can see exactly what is happening in the organization, and we can see how to tackle this challenge that we are facing right now. All right. So this is just based on what they are seeing, right? Now we are going to take this data, transform it into something that we can actually use to make sense of what is going on before we tell this company exactly what to do. We're not just going to dive in and say, oh, because you guys have a high attrition rate, we'll dive in into recommendations. No, we're going to first of all go ahead, understand what is happening in their data, analyze their data, visualize their data, and then we can easily tell them with proof what is wrong with the system that they have and how they can better retain their staffs, that's their nurses, in long term. All right. So we're going to be answering some few questions here to help us dive in deeper into the core areas. First of all, we want to identify the top reasons why these nurses leave their jobs. The next thing we want to do is to be able to identify the trends of termination, or rather attrition. And then we also want to understand the department's turnover rate. All right. So these are the key things that we want to look out for. All right. So what we are going to be building here today is very simple. Now we are going to be transforming the raw data that Aztec Health Trust has provided to us. Okay. So this is the raw state of the data. Now, if I ask anyone here, right? How many employees do we have in this data set? Can you give me an exact answer? If you can give me an exact answer, just go ahead and type it in the chat. I'm going to give us like 1 minute, okay? 1 minute, all right? If you can tell me the amount of employees that are in this data set just by looking at it, right? I don't know, probably I'm going to give you something. Okay, so I Okay, Adebanke says 20, right? So she has gone ahead to count the screenshots, right? But this is not the data set that was provided by this organization. This is just a screenshot. Yes, it's possible to count 20, but if you knew the amount of employees that you had in this data set, right, you won't be able to actually pinpoint that, and it's not going to be easy. But this is what we are going to do. We are going to transform this particular data set from this particular raw state into a fully functional dashboard that is actually going to help us make faster decisions without us having to deal with these rows and columns, long rows and columns of data, right? So Adebanke, you can see the difference between the answer and the screenshot we have now. This is just active employees, not even the total number of employees in the database, right? So we have like over 1,081 employees, all right? So we're going to see how we can arrive at these answers. Again, this is exactly what this quick solution we are going to be providing for Aztec right here on our screen. So we look at the termination, the tenure process of termination, as well as the reasons for terminations to help us identify those key points that we need to resolve in our data. Okay. Now, the next thing we want to do is basically to get to this data. All right. In the data analytics process, you actually have to understand how to transform your data, or how to get your data into the place where you can transform it. All right. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get this link. Don't worry, I'll be sharing the link in the chat for those of us that would also be interested in working with me. Now, I would not encourage you to work with me, but if you want to, that is perfectly fine. The most important thing is for us to pay attention so that at the end of the day, we can create recommendations for this business together. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this in. All right. Okay, so this is our data set for today's analysis. Just give me a moment. I'll drop it in the chat right now. All right, so you can go ahead, click on that link and download the data set. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to walk us through exactly how to extract or download these data. Okay, so you can go ahead, click on the link and download your data. So for you to do that very seamlessly and easily, you just have to go over to this place where we have file. All right, this tab here where we have file. You go ahead and click on that. It brings up this drop down for you. And then you want to head over to where you have download. Okay. You want to head over to where you have download. Okay. I'm going to do that again before I download it. All right. So the first thing you want to do is go to file. Okay. You scroll down. You go to where you have download. Okay. And then you click on Microsoft Excel. All right, so that you can download the file. So go ahead and click on Microsoft Excel, and your file is going to be downloaded to your local device, or rather your file explorer within your you know, download area. Okay, so this is the data set we're going to be working with. Just a usual data set that holds all information about the staffs. Now you also have information about, the reasons why they left the organizations, things that are actually going to help us out in this analysis, the individuals that have left and the individuals that are still with us, and things like dates when they were hired and dates when they left the organization. All right, dates when they were hired and dates when they left the organization. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and work with our data set. Okay, so let's dive in. The next thing we want to get now is our Power BI. All right, okay, our Power BI. Okay, just give me a moment. I can see, I think my screen. All right. Okay, much better. Okay, so I believe we didn't catch the whole download process. So let me quickly run that through again. Okay, so first thing, you go to your file here. Okay, it brings up this drop down for you. You go to download, then you go to Microsoft Excel, you click on that, okay, and it basically downloads your file for you. All right, so click on it, okay, the download process will start here. All right, and yes, this will be saved in your file explorer. Don't worry, we are going to see exactly how to get to it right now. Okay, so the next crucial thing that we need to get in this process is Power BI. So how many of us have heard of Power BI before now? If you've heard of Power BI, just go ahead and type yeah in the chat box. But if you've never heard of Power BI before, all right, go ahead and type okay, so just type no. Okay, Jolly says, yeah, fantastic, okay. You've never heard of Power BI before, this is your first time hearing of Power BI, just go ahead and type no in the chat box. All right, so I can see a lot of yeah in the chat, fantastic. So now, the next thing we want to do is to make sure that we actually install this particular Power BI software. Although I won't be able to show us exactly how to do that, but trust me, there's a link here. Once you get this document, or rather this material, you should be able to get through the process of installation, okay, with the link attached to this text. All right, so all you have to do is just click on it and it takes you right where you need to be. Okay, so please make sure to fill out the attendance form that is being sent in the chat by my colleague, and you should be good to go. Now let's head over to Power BI. Okay, so I'm just going to go in here and bring in Power BI. All right, so we just want to open that new fresh page to help us get started. All right, so this is the Power BI software. Now, this Power BI software is a business intelligence tool that is used to analyze data. All right, we process it, bring in our data, clean our data, prepare it for analysis, and then visualize it for organizations or for ourselves to make informed decisions. Okay, so that is exactly what this tool is used for. Now we are going to get the feel of how to actually make use of this software in a few steps. All right, the first thing we are going to do is actually to bring in our data. This process is called data importation, right? So I'll go ahead and click on the Excel workbook, all right? Excel workbook, and this basically opens up my, file explorer. Now, if yours is not in your downloads area, okay, you might just want to navigate to where you have downloads with this left-hand panel over here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and click on the data set that I need. I just double-clicked on that, okay? And then I get a portal that opens up. Now, this navigator is just a place where you can easily preview what you have selected. All right, so I can see my Aztec employee sheet here. I'll go ahead and check that box so I can get my preview. Now, this preview is what I usually use to understand, oh, do I have the right data set or not, right? Maybe I'm looking for Aztec employee sheet that was created in January, and I'm getting the one created in August, right? So, but today we just have one data set to worry about, right? Which is the Aztec employee sheet. Now, the next thing you want to do is simple. Go ahead and click on transform data, okay? Transform data. This basically takes us to a tool called Power Query. So take it as a process whereby you went to the market to get ingredients that you need to cook, right? Right now, we are already in that stage of, what's it called? We're already in that stage of gathering our ingredients. We're already in the kitchen, right? Now it's time for us to start preparing those ingredients. Now, this is where we get into Power Query, okay? So I'm going to click on transform, all right? So in the ingredient preparation stage, what we are basically doing is transforming our data, or rather preparing our data for it to be good enough for us to actually analyze it. Now, this includes things like summarizing our age columns, okay, or even creating new columns that helps us interpret our data much better, okay? So let's dive into that. So the first thing I want us to do here is actually to create a new column that helps us to calculate the tenure of these employees, okay? The tenure of these employees. Now, for those of us that don't understand what tenure is, it's basically understanding how long an employee has stayed with a particular organization, the length of service, right? So that's exactly what we are going to do here. So to do that, we have to create a new column. So just quickly go to Add Column tab over here, okay? And then I want to navigate to the option called Custom Column, okay? Custom Column. Now let me just click on that very quickly so that we can get started with our calculation. So very simple. The first thing I want to do is just take out this information here, okay? And I'll call this tenure, all right? Tenure, okay? Now, the next thing I want to do is to start with the formula. For this formula, I just want to put a criteria in there, right? We have hire date, okay, in our data set here, and we also have the exit date. Now, in this same data set, we have individuals that have not left the organization, right? Which means their data is their exit data is going to be empty because they've never left, right? Now, what we are going to do is very simple. We are going to create a condition that helps us to subtract the date which these employees were hired from the exit date. And for those individuals that are still with us, we basically get it from today's date, which means they are still here in the company with us, all right? So let me quickly just go ahead and start with this. So I'm going to go with duration, okay, duration days, okay? So you can see that pop-up that comes in. All you have to do is just start your formula, you get pop-up of suggestions, and then you keep on going like that. All right, so now that we have the formula that we need, duration in days, that means we want to get the information in days. Now, the next thing we want to do is very simple. I'm going to start with an if statement, okay? So if, all right, if the exit date is equal to 1, or if the exit column, let me just use the column here. All right, so you can see if I use a square bracket, my column head has just come up, right? So if exit is equal to 1, okay, and okay, I want the exit date, all right, and the exit date is not null. All right, so to say not null, I have to use this. All right, is not null. All right, then, okay. Okay, so then dates form. Okay, is equal to, let me just, go ahead and just finish this up. Exit date, date from exit date minus higher date. Okay. Okay, so the first statement here says, if exit date is equal to 1, that's indicating that these employees have left the organization. And if exit date is null, right, then we should have exit date minus higher date as our output here. Okay, so I'll just leave this here. And then we'll move on from that and give another condition. So if we have, what's it called? The exit date as not null, right? Whatever else we have, okay? Then we want to subtract it by the higher date with today's date. So I'm just going to go in here, else, okay? Date dot form equals to, and bring in today's date, date time, just like our data suggests here. So we have date and time in our time slot there. All right, date time local now. Okay, minus. So basically we are subtracting today's date from the higher dates for those individuals that are still with the organization. So I have dates that from. Okay, higher dates. All right, so fine now. We're just going to go ahead and just close these brackets. And divide by 365. Okay, so we get the duration in days. We divide that by 365, and let's see if we can also add something here. Okay. All right. So I believe we're good to go, although I'm not certain why we have this error here. So anytime we have an error message, it probably means that something is missing. So I can't pinpoint what is missing here.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. So I think Mary is experiencing some technical glitches right now. Just hold off while she gets back. So I saw some people in the chat, requesting for the data sets that she was using. So my colleagues have been dropping a certain link in the chat. Now, this session is recorded. And if you know that you would like to have access to the recording of session as well as the data set. All right. What I want you to do is make sure to fill the attendance form. Just make sure to fill the attendance form. That's all we need from you. All right, fill the attendance form so that we can have your details, and then we'll be able to send across the recording of this session as well as the slides, so you see and access the data set. Now, outside of the data set, there's so many resources linked on the slide that I'll be walking us through shortly. Let's just give Mary, about 2 minutes to join back and see. But I also want to, just hear from people in the chat right now. So Mary had asked earlier, people that are here for HR, put a 1 in the chat. People that are here for healthcare, put a 2 in the chat. And I think the question I want to ask people right now is, why do you think that nurses, okay, you know what, HR goes way beyond just the hospital or the healthcare sector. You can do HR anywhere, right? So why do we think that people in general leave jobs, right? Could it be because of stress? Is it the workload? Is it toxicity? Is it the pay? Just put in the chat. I want to hear from you. What do you think? Why do people leave jobs? This is looking very quiet right now. Why do we think people leave jobs? If we don't answer, we're not going to move along with the case study. So why do we think people leave jobs? Is it the pay? Is it because of the workload? Is it because of the stress? Even just thinking about nurses now, why do you think nurses leave, hospitals and companies like Aztec? Thank you so much, Oyin. Oyin says fulfillment, money, and stress. Anyone else? Aisha says staff welfare. Fantastic. Thank you. I just need one more person. Now I'm going to tell you why I asked this question. Just one more person, please. One more person to answer me. Why do you think personally that people would leave monotonous routine? Thank you so much, Bode. Now you see the way everybody that answered, at least the poor remuneration, thank you, Femi. Everybody that answered had different answers. Now that's exactly why we need HR analytics today. So you're not guessing. You don't just want to guess why people are leaving your hospital, why people are leaving your companies. You know exactly why. So I think Mary is back now. Hi, Mary. We lost you for a bit there. Your mic is muted.
All right. I hope you can hear me now. Thank you very much,
Yes.
Elizabeth. Really appreciate that. Okay, so yes, so Elizabeth has given us some tea as to why individuals actually leave their jobs in the nursing or healthcare, right? There are diverse reasons why they could leave their jobs, right? Now we are going to also find out the reasons why these individuals leave their jobs, right? But we are also going to be able to outline the most frequent reasons that keeps occurring, just in case it's the company's fault. They would be able to, change that narrative for themselves. All right. So I've been able to figure out what was wrong with our data, or rather our formula. So we just have this if statement in capital instead of small letter. All right. So the if statement is basically a conditional statement that can help us to, calculate a lot of different things using different conditions, right? So in this context, we're using it as a, a tool to help us separate the individuals who have left the organization and the individuals who are still within the organization. All right. So with this formula, I believe we should be able to get, the total number of years that each individual has spent within the organization. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK here. Okay. All right, so something is misspelled. Oh, wow. So I have to do that again. All right, so let me just quickly go ahead and do that. So first of all, we have the um, duration in days. Okay. All right, duration in days. And then we have our if statement over here. All right, just give me a minute. I want to make sure that I have the right awesome. Okay. So, all right, so let's go on. So if the exit interview date or the exit column is equal to 1, I want to make sure everything is coming directly from where it's supposed to come from. So we don't have any errors with the formula again. So it's equal to 1, all right? And the exit date is not null, okay? Then, okay? Then the date form, okay? Click on the date form here, should be the exit date minus date form higher date, okay? And then we look at the else statement now. So else date form again is equal to, or in brackets rather, date time. Okay. So some of these things might be a bit tricky sometimes, but I mean, it's just to select the formula basically and make sure we don't have different forms of languages going on there. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and subtract this by the date form for the higher dates. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and click enter here to see what's going on exactly. Okay, so this is exactly what we have here, date form, date form. Expected. So this. All right, so we're good to go. Okay. All right, so the only other thing I need to do here, let's see. All right. Okay, so we might just have to skip this step, even though it's quite important in our analysis. All right, because of the many errors that we're experiencing, and we do not have the time to keep troubleshooting this. Okay, so the next thing we're just going to do is to go ahead and bring in our and import our data into Power BI. Okay, so that we can continue our analysis. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring this in here, and then we'll continue from here. All right. Okay. So one of the key questions that we want to answer here is to understand how much impact does attrition have in this particular organization, right? So the first thing I want to do is just to basically go ahead and enter our data here, all right? We want to create a new table to actually store these key measures that we have here, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just click on load. All right, to store that table over here. Then the next thing we're going to do is just to calculate the total number of employees that we have here in the hospital, okay? So I'll click on new here, new measure, and calculate that. So I'll just name that first of all, total employees. Okay, and then the next thing I want to do is just go ahead and look at the calculation for this. So the first thing I want to do is to make sure I apply a function called distinct count. And then once we apply that distinct count, the distinct count basically helps us to ensure we do not count one employee multiple times, just in case the employee was promoted into a new role, we can just save that spot as one person. Okay, so once we calculate this, we should get the total number of employees that we have in our database, both those that have left and those that are still with us, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just bring that in here so that we can see that figure. Now, the next thing we are going to do is to calculate the number of employees that have left the organization, okay? So I'll go back here to new measures and, call that terminated. All right, terminated. So the next thing I want to do now is very simple. I'm going to go ahead and just calculate, let's see, we use the calculate function here, okay? So for this calculate function, I'll just look at first, the total number of employees, and I want to filter this by the place where we actually have employees who have left the organization. So I'm going to give this filter a quote saying not, let's see. So the Aztec. All right. So for this, we want to pick out the exit dates and indicate not blank. So go into that particular column and calculate all the employee information where the exit date is not blank, right? So it gives us a total count here. So I'm also going to go ahead and visualize that for us very quickly. So we have terminated. And then we are going to also look at, very simple, this one, this time around, we'll look at the total number of employees who we have left. So I'm just going to do a simple subtraction for this. So I'll just call that active employees. All right. And here we subtract total number of employees from the terminated employees. Okay. All right, so the next thing we want to do is just place that over here. So we have that figure that we need here. Now, one key thing that we still need to calculate is actually the attrition rate, right? What is the percentage difference between the total number of employees and the number of employees who have actually left the organization? So let's quickly bring that in. So our final measure today, call that attrition rate, okay? And for this, I'll just go ahead and divide these two figures. The first thing here would be the okay. So I'm going to go ahead and visualize that over here, okay? So we can see our attrition rates. All right, so that it looks more like what we need it to look like, that's in terms of percentage, I'll convert that to a percentage, and then I would remove a percent or a decimal place from this, and we have 27%. Now, 27% is quite a high number of attrition for an organization to have. I mean, from the number we have here already, 419 employees, what we have here on our screen. Now, the next thing we want to do is just look at that trend of attrition in the organization so far. So I'm going to just use a trend chart here and just bring that into our system here, okay? So the next thing I want to do is very simple. I'm just going to go ahead and bring in our terminated employee information, as well as the date representation, let's say for the exit date. So right now we have the day, okay, and we also have the month, right? And we have our first chart here showing us the trend of attrition for this particular organization. So if you look here, you see that we have a very, expressive trend right here. Let me put down focus mode and I'll be engaging us right now. So if you look at this chart, what time period would you say is the place where we had the highest form of attrition so far? Okay, what time period would you say is the period we had the highest form of attrition or the highest attrition turnout? (2022). Fantastic. So that is exactly what we have here. You can see with our data, we can easily pick that up, right? So 2022, we had the highest form of attrition in the organization. So you can see that a peak period started, let's say around 2018, right? Or 2017, and it kept on going through COVID-19. And after that, we had our highest peak period in 2022. Thankfully, it has started declining bit by bit, right? But then we still have to understand one key thing. What is the trend of attrition for this particular organization? Okay, what is the trend of attrition for this particular organization? Or rather, what are the reasons for attrition for this organization? So I'm just going to go ahead and bring in the reasons for termination here, as well as the termination number, so that we can count how many people actually submitted that specific reason as the reason why they do not want to work with this particular organization. Let's see. All right, exit reason. All right, so let's look at that very quickly. I'm also going to put this on focus mode so we can see that. Now, if you look at this particular information properly, you will notice that we just have, for terminated reason, we have relocation, growth opportunity, and work environment as one of our top reasons. In fact, burnout comes in third, although we cannot ignore the number difference between the workforce environment and the burnout information. So a lot of employees are actually leaving the environment, going to new places, maybe because of family or just, change of interest or education, whatever the reasons might be. And then the next thing we have here is career growth opportunity. Now for career growth opportunity, we have a lot of them saying, oh, you know what, we have a better opportunity in other places. We're not getting that here in this company, so we are going to look for it somewhere else. And then work environment. Now, this could mean a lot of things. Either the work environment is not conducive, or they're having issues with their colleagues or even their managers within their work environment. So this points out some key reasons, right? I'm just going to go ahead and, bring in one of our finished samples that we have here so that we can look at our final chart, all right? We won't be able to create that in this place, so I'm just going to bring this in here, all right? So this is exactly what the finished chart is supposed to look like. And we also have our tenor chart here, all right? So due to some errors in the script, I believe we could not bring that in. So right here, we have an outline of that information. Now, what does this chart actually tell us in this analysis? So it basically points out the length of service for all our employees, right? How long they've spent with us and how many of them are likely to get to that point, okay, maybe 4 years like we have here. We have our peak period as well in the 4th year, right? About 70 employees have left. Now, the peak period, we can just round it off to 3 main places: the 4th year, the 3rd year, as well as the 5th year, right? These are our peak periods, right? So we are expecting that if an employee gets to this particular period, that's within 3 to 5 years of experience within the organization, they have a higher tendency of actually leaving the workplace. All right. So it calls to show that we need to pay attention to these individuals even more than any other, so that we can prevent them from leaving. Okay, because imagine after they've gotten to at least 6 years, the rate of termination starts to decline. All right. So the main thing here is to actually understand why these individuals are leaving the organization, right? And we've been able to pinpoint that, which is relocation, career growth opportunities, work environment challenges, and finally, we have the burnout. Okay, so that is that on our attrition dashboard for the nurses at Aztec Health Trust. All right, so I'm going to be handing over to you, Elizabeth, so you can continue with the session.
Oh my God, thank you so much, Mary. That was a very impactful session. I have my Power BI open here. I almost, forgot myself. Thank God you called by name, but thank you so much for that. And I'm sure a lot of other people, were able to grab one or two things from this session as well. Now, this is just a sneak peek of what you would get from our HR analytics program. I'm sure Mary just called on me, because if not, everyone is going to sleep on this session. But let's just continue to look at how we can also leverage the things that we have learned here, and also how we can proceed to get a high-paying job in 2025. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, I mean, it's already September. What do you mean in 2025? It is very possible, all right, to get a high-paying job in 2025, and I'm going to be walking you through that. But before I do that, I want to see, at least I want to know the people that are still listening right now. So I want you to put in the chat, how many of us here are actually HR professionals? Now, it doesn't matter if you have never used it to work before, even if that's just what you studied in school. How many of us are HR professionals here? If you're an HR professional, just put HR in the chat. That's just all I need from you. Just put HR. HR and writer. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Come on, I'm building up to something here. I have questions. I ask a lot of questions, so I expect interactions. I want this to be a very, very interactive session. All right, so anyone else? Any other HR professional in the house or aspiring? Even if you're aspiring to be, an HR professional, just put HR in the chat so I know my target audience. I know the people that I'm speaking to and the people that can relate to what I'm about to say right now. All right, so my next question now would be, how many of you here actually feel that HR, you just feel like, thank you, Aisha. How many of you feel like HR is undervalued in organizations? A lot of organizations will just think, when they see HR or they think about, HR, just think about admin. Oh, you just come up with policies. Oh, you check who has checked in for work, who has not clocked in for work. How many of us actually feel that, these organizations are actually undervaluing us? Because you see teams like the tech team, the operations team, the finance team, they're always getting the glory, right? But HR, everybody really undervalues us. If you feel that way, I want you to put an alphabet, any letter at all in the chat, if you feel like HR is undervalued. Look at Henrietta, she says yes, so exactly, that is someone that can relate to what I'm saying right now. Fantastic. So here's the reality, right? HR will continue to remain undervalued until we start speaking the language that these executives understand. And what is that language? That language is data. All right. So it goes more than you just now, working on new policies or sending email to staff that did not come to work, staff that are absent. How are you speaking the language that executives understand? These people, they're tired of just seeing, policies and, just emails. They want to start seeing data. All right. Now think about it. A lot of companies, and I'm taking it out of the healthcare space because HR is very general. So we can talk about HR in, the healthcare sector. We can talk about HR in the educational technology sector and the financial technology sector, even in construction. All right. Wherever it is that you can think of. That is how versatile and how broad, HR is. All right. Now, these companies, a lot of companies invest millions every single year, whether it's in millions of dollars, millions of naira, millions of rands. They invest millions every single year in their talent, in their training and in their engagement. But when it is time to now come and prove the impact, what does HR often do? Henrietta, me and you, we know, okay? Most times we bring our spreadsheets, we bring our policies, we bring our gut feelings. That's what we bring a lot of times. Now, the product team or the tech team, they'll come with their charts. The COO will come with his metrics. And then HR, a lot of times we just come with words. Like we're just talking about, oh, yes, based on this spreadsheet, these are the people that did not check in for work. These are the people that did not do this and that. Now, that is why when it is time for tough decisions to happen, right? When it's time for layoffs to happen in the organization, maybe they want to cut budgets, they want to promote certain people, HR doesn't always have a strong seat at the table. Matter of fact, I've heard that a lot of organizations just have HR as figurehead, right? They make the decisions and they just tell HR so that HR can, send the memo company-wide. Now, how can we change this story? Imagine that you are actually walking into boardrooms, right? Now you're walking into boardrooms with a dashboard. A dashboard just like Mary built, right? You're able to show predictive attrition rates by department. You're able to show the attrition rates by the different departments that we have, whether it's the tech department or if we're in the healthcare space, maybe the nurses, right? Which of these departments are we losing nurses the most? You're not just saying it. You're not just coming to say, oh, we had a lot of staff leave, a lot of staff left the organization. You actually have a dashboard to show it. You actually have a dashboard to show which of your nurses or which of your hires are most likely to succeed in that company long term. Now, that is going to change the conversation entirely. As HR, you're not just going to, they don't just look at you as the admin anymore. You become a business critical strategy. And that is the power of HR analytics. All right. And the best part about HR analytics is you don't need to be a mathematician. You don't need to be a Python expert to do this. I believe a lot of us were paying attention when Mary was introduced and she said, oh, product and project manager. Now, while she was working, I also downloaded the data set. I had Power BI open here. I was just going from sprint to sprint, trying to replicate what I was saying. Now, it's not like I'm a mathematician. I mean, I'm just a project manager, but that's the beauty of it because HR analytics is not about coding. All right, it's about learning how you can take HR data. A lot of us, we're already in the departments, we're already in HR. Now, how do you take that data that you already have and turn it into insights that the leadership of that company you're working at the leadership of the organization can actually act on? Now, that's exactly what our HR analytics program is designed to teach you. So you're going to learn a lot. You will learn how to collect and clean HR data, how you can build dashboards for attrition end to end now. All right, it cannot be squeezed into 30 minutes. Mary tried her best to, just rush it through, but it's something that you actually sit down and immerse yourself in. How can you build dashboards for attrition? How can you build dashboards for recruitment? How can you build dashboards for also workforce planning? How can you speak with data? So you're not just, saying that I feel like my mind is telling me that this is why, the staff are, leaving the organization. You have data to back up everything that you say, and that's how you command respect. All right. And the way we teach all of these things is that we teach it in a practical way. So you actually work on real HR case studies so that you can apply it immediately at work. For someone like Adebanke, for example, she says she currently works as an HR analyst. Now you'll be learning things that on a day-to-day basis, you can start applying it at your job immediately. All right. So I've had a lot of our learners, especially one person. I remember one specific person, an HR officer already, she was already in the HR space, just like many of us on this call. And she came to us really frustrated, all right, because every time she sends a report to management, they always ignore it, right? They always ignore it. And today, she's one of the people that a CEO would call for insights before making any decision that relates to workforce. Now, that's the kind of transformation that happens in this program. So it elevates HR from just, being a supporter. You're just the second thought in organizations and you become a strategic driver. All right. Now, what are the things that you are going to be learning in this program? What are some of the key learning areas? First, we start off with problem solving. So you're actually going to learn how you can spot challenges in HR and how you can use your data to find smart solutions. All right, there's so many different techniques. You can learn your Pareto principle, your DMAIC, your 5 whys technique, and so on and so forth. Now, employers love HR professionals. It's more than just, being, doing recruitment and hiring people for the organization, right? They love HR professionals who don't just see problems, right? You don't just point out problems, but you can also solve that problem for them with data. Now, the next thing you're going to be learning is Excel. Excel is the bread and butter of every data analyst. Anybody that works with data, if you're a big data specialist, you cannot, say that you are a big data specialist if you don't know how to use Excel. It's a very, very simple tool. I'm sure at least a lot of us on this call have heard about Excel one way or the other. A lot of us use it as spreadsheets. Now you're going to learn how to use it as so much more than just a spreadsheet. All right, how do you use your Excel to clean and analyze data? How do you use Excel? What are different formulas and functions that you have on Excel? How do you use your pivot charts? How do you build your pivot table? How do you also build interactive dashboards on Excel, right? You can use Excel to, just, use it to quickly calculate or run quick calculations. So a lot of people will run away from analytical roles and they're like, I don't like math. I don't like math. You don't have to take a pen and paper and start, doing addition and subtraction. How can you use Excel to do that? You're also going to be learning that in this program. Next, we have Power BI. Now, Power BI, you saw what Mary did with Power BI. If I share my screen, you see what I tried to do with Power BI as well. Now, Power BI is what we use to visualize our data, right? We can turn that HR data that we already have into colorful dashboards, using charts, using slicers, so that, when we're presenting these reports to the leadership of our organization, they can make, better decisions, with that particular report. Now, with Power BI, right, that is quite literally the turning point for you. Okay, you become the person that these leaders are going to turn to when they need insights. I know what I'm saying. Just take it from me, right? If you know how to use Power BI, you become the person leaders in your company, execs in your company will turn to when they need insights as it relates to the workforce of that organization. Next, we have SQL, structured query language. I like to call it the language of the database. So how do you communicate with this database? All right, how are you able to get the information and the insights that you need from your data sets? All right, you do this using SQL. Okay, so think of it as, the database only speaks Latin, for example. And then people like Adebanke, people like Oyin from Senegal, people like Henrietta, right? You are the only people in the organization that speak Latin. Of course, when it comes to analyzing, the human resource data that you have in that organization, who are they going to look for? Of course, it's going to be you, because you're the only person that can speak to and get the insight that you need from that data. All right, next, you'll be learning HR KPIs and also performance evaluation. How do you measure how well the employees and, also the HR processes are performing using clear numbers? You're not just guessing, okay? You're not just waking up with a gut feeling. You're able to actually look at the data and see how well these HR processes are doing. You're able to identify areas of improvement, right? You also want to see how well the employees are doing, the KPIs that you can track. Actionable KPIs, that are quantifiable, that you can track. And knowing HR metrics actually makes you, the voice of accountability in the organization. Now, there's everybody, every single person, every single employee in that organization knows exactly what is expected of them in their role. All right, next, you'll be learning absenteeism and also attrition metrics. So you will learn how to track how often employees are absent in the company, or how often they are leaving the company and why it matters. Just like what, Mary showed us. She showed us just the snippet, but I'm sure a lot of us, got the gist as well. You're able to do this. And when you understand these metrics, what it means for you is that you can help that company reduce costs and also improve employee retention. Okay, now, all around the world, whether you're in Egypt or you're in Russia or you're in Germany, right? If there's any way you can help an organization spend less, they will keep you for life. And that's just the truth. All right. If there's any way you can help an organization spend less and, reduce costs, the cost that they're spending on their talent, they will want to keep you for a very, very long time. Next, you'll be learning compensation and pay equity analysis. How do you make sure salaries in the organization are fair and are also balanced across every single employee in that organization? So, I mean, globally right now, if you're always on the news like myself, pay equity is a hot topic. All right, now it's more than just a gender thing. It's a hot topic globally. And being skilled here actually puts you in demand as an HR analyst for forward-thinking companies. Quote me anywhere. Okay, next you'll be learning collaboration and recruitment tracking automation. So how do you use tools to make hiring and teamwork faster and easier? I tell people that this is no longer the era where you need to work hard. You need to be working for 18 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours. If there are ways that you can actually automate certain repetitive tasks and make things easier for yourself and also for your employees, embrace it. All right, so you actually learn how to master all these automations and it will save your HR team and yourself countless hours. All right, countless hours that you would have spent working on something. You can actually just learn how to automate these recruitment, tracking as well. Next, we have human resource management. That's the HRM system. The HRM system, I'm just going to give us very briefly, right, is a digital system where all the employee data and all the HR, processes live. All right. So that's really just a system, a digital system where every single employee data in that organization, all the HR processes you have in that organization, that is where they live. And, knowing how to use all of these HRM systems like Orange HRM, for example, it actually positions you, for global HR roles. All right. Since every company in the world uses one HRM or the other. And then finally, the world is evolving and we want to make sure that you evolve with it. All right. So as the world is evolving, you don't get left behind. So we're also going to be teaching you how you can leverage ChatGPT for analytics. How can you use AI to quickly analyze HR data? All right. How can you use AI to generate insights and even draft reports? Now you see what, Mary spent about 1 hour, showing us how to do. Now, if you can learn how to use AI, that same thing that she spent 1 hour to do, you'll probably be able to do it in 10 minutes, but you need to learn it. So again, back to what I said earlier, this is not the era of working for hours, working very hard. It's now the time to work smart. All right. So if there's any way that you can leverage AI to your advantage in your role, whether you're in HR analytics, whatever it is that you do currently, and you're looking to pivot into HR, you want to take this particular program here. Now we have a blended learning approach. All right. Now what that means is we have a blend of Saturday live classes as well as self-paced learning. So, 2 Saturdays out of 4 Saturdays in a month, you have a live class. All right, a session such as this one. Now, the difference is you are able to unmute your mic, you're able to ask questions, you're able to contribute. And remember, I said that you're learning all of these things, using projects. Now, what that means is that from your very first live class, you actually get projects that you work on. Now, it's very important to have these projects so that you can build your portfolio, which is one of the things that we'll be teaching you how to do as well. Now, for the live classes, we have 2 different timings for flexibility. We understand a lot of you are working, some people are in school, some people have children. So for flexibility, there are 2 different classes. There's the morning class, which is from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time, and the evening class, which is from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West African time. You are allowed to choose one. All right, you can say, you know what, I'm always free in the morning. Let me go for the morning class. Or, I prefer the evening. Let me go for the evening class. You are able to choose the best class for yourself, as long as it is convenient for you. Now, every single session here at 10Analytics is always recorded. Anything that requires you to join a meeting is always recorded, just like, this session that is happening right now. So if for any reason you miss a live class, maybe due to work or an emergency, not to worry. You're going to have the data sets from that live class. You're going to have the recording that you can watch over and over again. All right. Now, aside the live classes, we have what we call self-paced learning. All right. So every single week, we release videos that you will watch on our learning management system, what we call the LMS. All right. So once we release these videos, you're able to watch these videos at your own time. Whether you are you're on the train, you're on your way to work, you just plug in and you're watching these videos. And all of these videos also have projects. So on your own, you are able to replicate what you're seeing someone like Mary, your instructor, doing in that video. Now, if you have questions, okay, you're watching these videos or you're studying on your own and you have questions, how do you ask your questions? There are two different avenues to ask your questions, all right? First, you'll be added to a closed WhatsApp group chat with your facilitator. All right. And there, when you're studying or you're watching a video, maybe you missed the last live class and you were watching the recording, and you have certain questions. You can simply, go on that group chat, tag your facilitator and ask your question. And that person will respond to you as soon as possible. Now, that's the first avenue. The second avenue is that we have mini classes twice a week. So remember that the main live classes are 2 times in a month. We also have mini classes twice a week. Now, these mini classes are called drop-in sessions, right? Drop-in sessions are, I'll call them troubleshooting sessions. All right. So if you have questions, you're trying to do something on, your Power BI, it's not working. You can come to a drop-in session. We have one happening on Wednesdays and the other one happening on Saturdays when you don't have a live class. So you can bring that concern to your drop-in session. You can even share your screen and show someone like Mary and say, you know what, I'm trying to do this on, Power BI. It's not working. Can you please tell me what I'm doing wrong? So this is just to show you that every single step of the way would actually be holding your hand. So we don't just leave you to your own devices. All right. And remember, the live classes as well as in session always required. Learning timeline for program is 8 months. So you get 6 months learning in class and then 2 months of internship. However, that does not mean you have to wait 8 months to be able to land your dream role or to be able to get the skills you need to upskill in your current role. All right, matter of fact, we've had a lot of participants that have gone ahead to land jobs while they're still in the program. Okay, so it is possible, very, very possible. Now, what are some of the jobs that you can apply to, after taking this HR analytics program? You can apply to some roles in data analytics. You can apply for the role of an HR analyst, a people analyst, workforce planning analyst, talent analytics specialist, compensation analyst, benefit or reward analyst, talent analyst, and so on and so forth. The list is literally endless. All right. So you're not just boxed into HR analysts alone. All right. Now, you also have the unique opportunity of including Tenalytics and our partner company in the UK, Amdari, on your CV. Now, once you're done learning and training with us for 6 months, that is 6 months of immersive learning. All right, you'll be moved into our partner company. So we actually went ahead to partner with a company in the UK because we wanted to make sure that we were delivering premium experience to our participants. All right, so we partnered with a company in the UK that is in the consulting space. Now, what happens is that, after your training, you are moved into that company 100% virtual, and you're able to intern with them. Now, you can add both Tenalytics and this partner company on your CV as part of your experience if you train with us. Now, if you've been listening to me, speak so far and you're not quite sure if HR analytics is for you, that's okay. All right, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, what I want you to do is take this phone quiz. It's literally going to take you about 1 minute. All right, if you have your phone right beside you right now, I want you to just pick up your phone, open the camera, and scan this QR code on my screen right now. All right. Alternatively, you can make sure to fill the attendance form that my colleagues have put in the chat. Again, it is very important. So you can have the link to, you can have this slide as well as the recording. Now you can access all of these things that are linked on the slide. Now this very short quiz will be able to show you the best career path, the best tech career path for you. So if you're still iffy about HR analytics, please go ahead to just, scan this code and take this quiz. Even if you know that you want to do HR analytics, just for the fun of it, just to make sure that you're on the right path, go ahead to, scan this code and take the brief quiz. All right. Now, what is the strategy that will land you the job in 2025? The first thing you want to do is learn. Okay, I feel like I've spoken a lot about it. Learn the skills that are very much in high demand. HR analytics. Now, the second thing you want to do is you want to position yourself strategically. Now, through our employability services, like revamping your CV for you, teaching you how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, helping you build a portfolio, mentorship, and so on and so forth, which I'll be talking more on in a hot minute. Next, the next thing you want to do is you want to apply like a machine. All right. You want to make sure that you're applying, like consistently a lot. And that's, my dear, Henrietta and the rest of the people on the call, is how you're able to get the job. Now, here at Tech-Analytics, we have something, we call the job offer formula. Now, it is actually very simple. It's just small addition. All right. It is T plus E. That is how we've been able to help over 3,500 people transition, not just for HR analytics now, but across all the different programs that we offer. Over 3,500 people have been able to transition and land jobs that are even offering them visa sponsorship. What did they do? They followed this formula. It is called T plus E. Now, what does that mean? T stands for technical skills, and then E stands for employability skills. Now, we believe that your technical skills alone will not get you the job. All right. It's wonderful to know how to use Orange HRM. It's wonderful to know Power BI, Excel. That is very good. Well, how do you differentiate yourself from other people who also know how to use Orange HRM, or all these HRM tools? How do you differentiate yourself from them? And that is where your employability skills come. So one of the services that we offer, the very first one, is revamping your CV. Okay, now here as an organization, we are going to revamp your CV from your second month with us. Okay, so from your very second month, we're taking your CV, we are working on it personally, and then we send it back to you. And then we encourage you to start looking for jobs. Now, why do we revamp CVs? We revamp your CV so it is easier for you to scale through the ATS. Recruiters are always using ATS. I mean, we are HR professionals here, so we know what it means. They're using ATS to sift past, when they put out a job application, for example, or a job opening, maybe 1,000 people apply. Now, do you think there is somebody out there that is going to sit down and take a look at all 1,000 CVs? No. They're going to use the ATS to actually filter through and fling some away. Now, we are revamping your CV to make sure that your CV is not one of the CVs that is flung away during that preliminary process. All right. The next thing that we offer is the LinkedIn optimization session. So here we're going to teach you how you can strategically position yourself on LinkedIn in order to land jobs. Now, we have quite a number of people that have landed their first tech job, right? Because a recruiter sent them a DM on LinkedIn. No lies, okay? Personally, I cannot remember the last time that I, saw a job opening and applied to it with my CV. That's just it. So how do you position yourself strategically in such a way that, in as much as you're out there, you're job hunting, recruiters would stumble on your profile, they'll take a look at it, they'll be so impressed that they will reach out to you and say, please, we'd like to have a conversation with you. Now, we're going to teach you how you can optimize your LinkedIn profile to stand out. Next, we have navigating the job market sessions. These are sessions where we bring seasoned professionals like the founder of Tech-Analytics, Adeza Suleiman, as well as people who have also gone through this program just like yourself. Now, not just people that have gone through it, but people that have taken the HR analytics program and landed a job, whether it's in the UK, whether it's in the US, whether it's in Canada or in Europe. All right. Now we bring these people to come back to the classroom and share tips with you. Or what is it that they did that helped them land a job, even while they were in the program, that you can also mimic? All right. So you're able to learn from their experiences and have all of these different things that you can apply to your own job search when you're ready to get into the job market. Next, the people's favorites. This is the interview preparatory session. All right. So we always offer interview preparatory sessions when we revamp your CV and we tell you out there and say, go out there, we make you fishers of men. All right. Now, once you apply to these jobs, and yes, your CV skills pass the ATS, the applicant tracking system, and then a recruiter takes a look at it and they're impressed. They invite you for an interview. A lot of us on this call, we instantly get cold feet. You are going to be nervous, and it's normal. All right, but you're able to book a one-on-one, a one-on-one session with the professional like Mary here at Tech-Analytics, and that person is going to prep you, right, from beginning to end for that interview. So basically what they do is they conduct an interview simulation for you so that they are going to be able to tell you, okay, you know what, Oini, this is how you should answer this question. All right. So these are the kind of questions that they will ask you. These are the likely questions. Now, if they ask you this question, this is what you should say. This is how you should answer it. This is the framework you should use. This is the project you should talk about. Now, by the time you are going into the actual interview, your confidence is already boosted and you know at least some likely questions. So you have already prepared, seasoned answers for those questions to also showcase that you know you're on it. All right. Next, we have job reference letter. Now, should you land a job and you're asked to provide a reference, you can 100% put 10Analytics or Amdari down as your reference. And once the organization reaches out to us, we'll provide a reference letter on your behalf, because these organizations like to do that, all right, in order for them to be able to check that you actually know what you're doing and you are who you say you are. So Ololade, I see your question in the chat. So don't worry, just stick with me till the end of the session. I'll be taking questions. If you have questions, just put them in the chat for me. Next, this is the least popular one. We have on-the-job support. And quite frankly, we don't have a lot of people that come back from this because, I mean, it's 6 months of immersive learning. Now, most times after 6 months, our participants no longer need us. But, this is still on the table. Should you need on-the-job support, you land a job, and maybe the first month, you don't exactly, your leg is still a bit wobbly. You get some tasks, you don't know how to go about them. Now you can book a one-on-one session with us here at 10Analytics, and we'll provide guidance on how you can execute those tasks. Next, we have weekly mentorship sessions, like the name implies, mentorship that happens every week. We need mentors, especially for people that are just trying to get into this space newly. Even if maybe you relocated from Nigeria, you came to the UK, and then even if HR is back in Nigeria, now in the UK, you need a mentor, because that is a fresh, terrain for you, a fresh territory for you. You don't really know how things work there. You need somebody to hold your hand. And we have sessions like this that happen every single week. Next, we have the Upwork optimization session for people who are interested in freelancing. So just the way we teach you how you can leverage your LinkedIn profile, we also teach you how you can optimize your Upwork profile as well. All right. Now, there's so many other benefits that you can get from us here at 10Analytics if you choose to be a participant. All right. So we have our own job board, and we pay for, exclusive jobs every single month. We know how much we spend, to get exclusive jobs that you will not necessarily see out there. So we subscribe to a lot of paid platforms, and every single week on a weekly basis, we go on these paid platforms and we scrape them for job listings. So whether you are in the UK, you're in the US, you're in Canada, you're in Nigeria, wherever it is you are, we'll look for jobs in your location and send them to you. And we'll also be able to tell you, oh, you know what, this job offers sponsorship. This job doesn't offer sponsorship. So we are able to apply. All right. So in as much as you're out there searching for jobs on your own, we also will be sending you exclusive jobs to apply to. Now, another benefit of joining the HR Analytics program. All right, you have exclusive access to our AI-powered learning assistants called Oluko. Oluko means teacher. All right, so now this is something that the general public does not have access to, just the 1% of the 1%. Now, if you go ahead to register for the program, you also have access to that AI chatbot, and it's going to make your learning journey so much easier. You can also use this AI chat, but this is very good. I need to highlight that. Very, very exclusive AI to be for you as well. It was built just for you. All right. Now let's just move on. I think I'm experiencing. Okay. Right. Now there are a lot of success stories. If I start talking about success stories, right, nobody's going to go home today. Okay. Now, if you join the session, at the beginning, you would have heard some testimonials playing, you'd have watched some testimonial videos. Now, that is another reason why you need to fill the attendance form that my colleagues have been dropping into chat. Now, we have all these testimonials linked here. So when you get the slide, you are able to go over them. Look at emails that, I've had participants send us to thank us so much because they've been able, look at this. Good morning, Adeza. I bring good news. I've been given a position as an HR analyst with the region of Peel here in Ontario, Canada. I am so excited. and so much. Like, you have enough time to go over them on your own. Now, again, I can have an entire session, a 5-hour session talking about success stories. But what I want to tell you is that, these people on these slides, these beautiful pictures you're seeing, they're not more beautiful than we are. All right. So if you want your picture, to be the next on my slide, when I'm having a session like this, so I can tell people that, look at Oyin, for example, Oyin from Senegal, she joined us and she didn't have any experience, and we're able to transform her, right? And then move her from the classroom into our first tech job. What you want to do is you want to join our next cohort starting on the 4th of October. So we have a new class starting on the 4th of October. And the pricing for the program is $1,000 US. Now, let me check how many people I still have with me here. So I'm happy that these people on the call stuck with me till the end of the program, because now I have a reward for you. So the pricing of the program is $1,000 US. Because there's an exclusive available. Now, instead of paying $1,000 US, you get a whopping 25% discount off. A whopping 25% off. So you get to pay $750 US instead. But listen, it's only for the first 20 people. So what that means is, if I have 20 people right now on this call that go ahead to register for this program, the discount is over. And then the price increases. So it's for the first 20 people that I put it at the drop off. When they go, they want space, right, to talk about this special reward for staying with me till your spot for the October class. Because like I said, it is for the first 20 people. Now, what that means is you don't have to wait till October to secure it, because by the time, I'm sure by next week, the slots are gone. So if you're looking to save money, where I come from, saving is always a good idea. $250 US is a lot of money. So if I have an opportunity to save that, I will jump on that. Now, the beautiful part of it is that there is also a very flexible payment plan available to you. So just give me a minute to bring it up. Now, you're able to split payments for as many as, so yes, $750, don't have dollars right now, and that's okay. All right. Now you can split payments for as many as 5 times. What that means is you're able to say, you know what, I want to pay at once. All right. I'm a rich person. I have the money I want to pay right now. Or you can pay 2 times. You can pay 3 times, 4 times, or 5 times. Now, let me just walk you through how you can go about this. And if this is something that you're interested in, put HR now in the chat box, and my colleagues will send you the link to this site. If you're listening to me right now, if you can hear the sound of my voice and you want to save $250 US, please go ahead, secure your spot tonight. All right. Now, once you click on that link, you're going to see a list of the programs that we offer here at Analytics, and you just want to identify your own. So for you, you're interested in HR Analytics. All right. You just want to click on Buy Now for HR Analytics. And once you do that, you see the full program description. All right, you see everything that you need to know about the program, the course description, the curriculum, all the things that you've been learning. You also see your instructor who is actually going to take you through this learning journey. What are some of the jobs that you have available to you once you take this program? Now, once you're done reading all of this, you just want to scroll down and, click on Enroll Now right here. And once you do this, you'll be prompted to create a free account. Not to worry, it's going to take you less than 1 minute. All right, we just need your name. All right, your full name, your email address, and your phone number, and that's it. All right, less than 1 minute, and you're already in, and you have created your free account. Then you'll be able to confirm your enrollment. Now, let me tell you the good news. There's another good news. Again, it's just for a select few. That's why I waited for some people to drop off. You don't absolutely have to start in October. So yes, we have a new class starting on the 4th of October, but we also have another one starting on the 8th of November. Because here at Analytics, we're all about flexibility. So if you know that your schedule for October is quite tight, but you would like to utilize this discount, you can actually register in advance for November. All right. And the payment plan as well as the discount will still apply to you. Now we have the payment option. So if you want to start in October, that is already selected. If you like to start in November, all you have to do is select November. And then you have the payment options here. So 1,000 US dollars, depending on where you are. If you're in the UK, you'll be seeing it in pounds. If you're in Canada, you see it in CAD. And if you're in Australia, you see it in Australian dollars or AUD. So you're going to see this in your local currency. So you don't have to worry about trying to, having to, convert your money and all of that due to the exchange rate. Not to worry. If you're in Nigeria and you click on this link, you see the pricing in Naira. All right, and you're able to pay very quickly with your card. Now, 1,000 US dollars is about 820 pounds. Now, if you're part of the first 20 people, instead of paying 820 pounds, you get to pay 615 pounds instead. That's like 200 pounds off. That's a lot of money. Now, remember, I said you can split your payments for as many as 5 times. All right. Now, for people who want to pay once or twice, I have an additional discount for them. So if you're paying once or 2 times, right, you are able to pay 585 pounds instead of 615. That's the special offer you have because you are the VIPs. All right. But not to worry, once you start to split your payments more than 3 times, you'll be paying 615 pounds, which is still the discounted price. That's about 750 US dollars, and that is your full 25% off. Now, once you select the payments plan that works best for you, all right, no pressure. So for example, if I select a 5 monthly installment, what I mean is that, oh my goodness, I heard about this program. I'm very busy right now. I can't start in October. I would like to start in November, right? But I have 123 pounds right now. I don't have 615. I want to secure my spot. That's just what it means. And you can go ahead to secure your spot with as low as 123 pounds or 150 US dollars. If you're in Nigeria, that should be about 240,000 Naira, and you are on your way. You are well on your way to landing that dream job and getting your 6-figure salary. All right, so I'm selecting the 5 monthly installments, and then you just want to click on apply discounts. Once you do that, it applies the discount for you and you're able to see the breakdown. Now, what you have just said is, you know what? I'm going to be paying 123 pounds every month for 5 months instead of 164 pounds. You get to pay 123 pounds. So while you are in the program, you're already learning, you are building your dashboard, you are saving 200. I need to zoom this in so that people can see it properly. You get to save 205 pounds. Okay, you get to save 205 pounds off. Now you're saying, you know what? I'm going to be paying 123 pounds every month. So while you're in the program, you're building your portfolio, you're working on projects, you're learning everything that you need to learn. You're getting prepped for interviews. All right, we have revamped your CV for you. You're attending mentorship sessions, okay, and all the other fun stuff. You also have access to our exclusive job board. You're still making payments. All right, so we did this to be very flexible for every single person. Now, once you're done with this, you just want to confirm your information and then go ahead to click on pay now, put in your card details, and you are good to go. Okay, now I have one more bonus, just one more, because I love to be the bearer of good news. There's a second bonus available. Now, if you register for this program within 24 hours, okay? Again, if you're looking to leverage the discount, make sure to register tonight. But if you don't mind paying 1,000 US dollars, maybe you want to miss the discount, but within 24 hours, if you go ahead to register, you actually get free access to Amdari Vault for 1 month. Now, in Amdari Vault, we have over 250 guided projects that you can work on. Now, if you have someone that you're looking to boost your portfolio, you want to work on a lot of projects, this offer is for you. Go ahead to try to secure your spot tonight, and you also have access to this. Now, that's the second bonus I have for you. Make sure to fill the attendance form, and you have access to this slide so you can also, go over it on your own. Now, I'm just going to be taking the questions in the chat. Let me see, just before we wrap up this session. Let me see if I have any questions in the chat to answer. So Ololade says, would there be a session on data analytics in the future? 100%. So just keep your ear on the ground. And once there's a session for data analytics, you will be informed. Make sure to join our community so that you don't miss out on any updates. Okay. So I see that there are no more questions that I haven't answered yet in the chat. So as usual, like I said earlier, make sure to secure your spot. And thank you so much for joining us on this session tonight. All right. I will see you when I see you. Hopefully, hopefully I see you in the next cohort in August. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. And please enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.